Welcome back. Now for the news in detail. We start from Iran, which says it has convicted 17 suspects of espionage and condemned some to death. An intelligence ministry official says the U.S. agents were caught when a CIA network was dismantled in June. The official says the captured spies were employed in sensitive sectors, including nuclear, military and cyber security. He alleged the CIA hired them through fake companies at conferences in Europe, Asia and Africa. Tehran says it will soon release a documentary showing a CIA officer recruiting Iranians in the UAE. Saudi Arabia has called on the international community to deter Iran's actions against commercial shipping in the Gulf. Foreign Minister Adil Al-Jubeir condemned Iran's seizure last week of a British tanker in the Strait of Hormuz, calling it unacceptable. Al-Jubeir said Iran should rethink its actions. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Theresa May has called a top-level security meeting to decide the response to Iran's tanker seizure. Earlier, Kuwait's foreign ministry also called for international diplomatic action to prevent further interference in shipping activity. 20 people have been killed in Russian airstrike on a vegetable market in northwestern Syria. War monitors say 35 others were wounded. The strike comes a day after 18 civilians were killed in the Russian air raids in Idlib province. Turkey has threatened launching a military operation if the planned safe zone in northern Syria is not established. Turkey's Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu is scheduled to meet U.S.-Syria envoy James Jeffrey today. Cavusoglu said he hoped disagreements regarding the U.S.-supported YPG are settled in the meeting. Meanwhile, Russia says it will continue to help Syria protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. Putin said Moscow will also ensure national security and post-war reconstruction in Damascus. He said rebel militias in Syria would be defeated by Russia-backed government coalition forces. Syria's state media says President Bashar al-Assad praised Russia's military support. President Vladimir Putin congratulated al-Assad on the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the two countries. And Turkey has warned the U.S. of retaliation if it imposes sanctions over the purchase of the Russian S-400 defense system. Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu says any such sanctions will be unacceptable. In an interview, Cavusoglu said President Donald Trump does not want to impose sanctions. He added Ankara did not expect the U.S. administration to take such actions. Over to India, where 36 people have been killed in the northern side after lightning struck their residential areas in Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan states. Officials say 13 others were injured as seasonal monsoon storms continue to batter the country. They say the lightning killed 14 people in the UP districts of Kanpur and Fatehpur. Another 5 died in Jhansi district and 4 in Jalon. Flash floods and landslides caused by the monsoon have claimed over 150 lives this month. Moving on, Israeli forces have started demolishing Palestinian homes in occupied East Jerusalem despite international condemnation. Overnight, bulldozers accompanied by hundreds of Israeli soldiers moved into Surbaher village to knock down buildings. The operation has rendered hundreds of Palestinians homeless and forced them to relocate. Palestinian authorities have strongly condemned the move and called on world powers to stop Israel's illegal actions. This comes 3 days after Israeli forces wounded more than 100 Palestinians during weekly protests along the Gaza border. Prime Minister Imran Khan says Pakistan is transforming with meritocracy and accountability. He is in Washington on a 3-day visit at the invitation of U.S. President Donald Trump. The two leaders are scheduled to meet today. Addressing thousands of expatriates in Washington, Khan acknowledged the diaspora's contribution to Pakistan's economy. He also met acting IMF Director David Lipton and discussed Pakistan's recent rollout of IMF-backed economic reforms. Khan also met World Bank President David Malpass. Over to Ukraine, where President Volodymyr Zelensky's party has won Ukraine's snap general elections. Exit poll shows Zelensky's Servant of the People party took almost 44% of the vote. It is the highest score in a parliamentary election for any party since Ukraine's independence in 1991. The pro-Russian opposition party came second with 11% of the ballot. Ukraine's Central Election Commission says voter turnout was around 50%. After the victory, Zelensky said he will invite the opposition for talks to form a coalition government. The president said ending the war in eastern Ukraine and tackling corruption will be his main priorities. Following an exhaustive month-long process, the race for a new British Prime Minister ends today. Conservative Party members have until this evening to cast ballots for either Boris Johnson or Jeremy Hunt. Johnson, the contest front-runner, has pledged to stick to the October 31st Brexit deadline, with or without a deal to leave the European Union. Hunt has said he is prepared to further delay Brexit to get better terms for a withdrawal. The successor to Theresa May will be announced tomorrow, and they will take office on Wednesday. Moving on, Prime Minister Shinzo Abe's ruling coalition has won a majority in the upper house of Japan's parliament. The coalition won 71 out of 124 seats, but the Liberal Democrats-led alliance fell short of securing the two-thirds majority it needs to revise the constitution. The government now controls 141 seats in both houses of parliament, well short of the 164 needed. Abe says the election results show popular support for an amendment to Japan's pacifist constitution. Even if approved by Parliament, any constitutional revision must be put to a national referendum. North Korea has held elections for its provincial assemblies as well as local bodies. State media says 72% of registered voters turned out to vote. The turnout in 2015 election was 99.9%. Elections in North Korea are held every 4 years, and the number of seats is determined by population of each area. Now, hundreds of thousands of protesters have clashed with the police in Hong Kong, while the police fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse a charged crowd demanding the scrapping of a recently proposed extradition law. Protesters earlier blinded CCTV cameras outside a police station. Later, a dozen of masked men armed with batons stormed a train station in Yuen Long district. Hong Kong's media reports men wearing white t-shirts attacked traveling protesters on platforms and inside train carriages. 45 people were injured, one of them critically. Now, a man has been arrested under accusations of starting the fire that is now sweeping across central Portugal. Fires broke out at almost same time, scorching an area equal to 10,000 football pitches. Police said a 55-year-old man was detained in the Castelo Branco region. 8 firefighters and 12 civilians were reportedly injured in the fire. More than 1,300 firefighters battled the massive blaze. Authorities also mobilized over 300 vehicles, 11 planes and helicopters to control the blazes. With no forecast of rain and soaring temperatures, the danger of fire remains high. Meanwhile, the U.S. military says a Venezuelan fighter aircraft shadowed a U.S. Navy plane over international airspace. Venezuela claims the American reconnaissance aircraft had flown into its airspace, which the U.S. denies. The U.S. says the encounter took place because Russia irresponsibly supports the regime of Venezuela's President Maduro. Venezuelan Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino says U.S. actions created a safety risk in the vicinity of Maiquetía airport. United Nations Nuclear Watchdog Director General Yukiya Amano has passed away at the age of 72. The International Atomic Energy Agency announced the demise of its chief in a note to member states. Yukiya Amano had served as the IAEA head since 2009. Amano was preparing to step down early from his position because of unspecified illness. The agency has yet to set a time frame to name his successor, though a race to succeed him is underway. The IAEA flag will be lowered to half-mast in tribute. Now over to France, where a Swedish teenage climate activist, Greta Thunberg, has received the first Freedom Prize in the northwestern city of Cannes, Normandy. The prize winner is chosen by a worldwide online poll of respondents aged between 15 and 25.
The Freedom Prize was given in the presence of World War II veteran. Greta Thunberg says she will donate the $28,000 prize money to 4 organizations working for climate justice.
This prize is not only for me, this is for the whole Fridays for Future movement, because this we have achieved together. So I will donate the prize money for Prix Liberté to 4 different organizations working for climate justice.
Thunberg said every year 7 million people die from illness caused by toxic air pollution.
The most powerful thing we can do right now is to speak up, to make our voices heard, and to hold the older generations accountable, and that would just say that this is enough. We are not going to accept this anymore.
Greta Thunberg founded the Fridays for Future campaign, which stages rallies every Friday to protest at the lack of effective climate legislation.
More news to follow, but after a short break, stay tuned. Welcome back. Now, continuing the news, we go to India, where official data has revealed no girl has been born in 132 villages of the northern state of Uttarakhand in the last 3 months. The state is infamous for aborting females before birth and in some cases murdering them after they are born. Rights activists have launched an aggressive campaign, Save the Female Child, in the state. State Health Department data shows 126 children were born in these villages, but not a single girl was born anywhere. The district magistrate says this could be a coincidence and no proof of female foeticide has been found. Uttarakhand has a population of over 10 million. Now, the American-led invasion of Iraq in 2003 caused enormous social and political upheaval in the country. This has had many effects, including a surge in the popularity of Western-style tattoos. More in this report. Before Washington invaded in 2003, Iraqis used to tattoo themselves with primitive tools. They usually made small traditional designs to beautify their hands and faces. Now, the designs have become more westernized.
All images I tattooed on my body have meaning. Here is a drawing and here is another one. I truly admire this person and he is a well-known personality. This is why I chose to tattoo my body, and the pain is normal.
Tattoo artists say frequent interactions with American troops is what caused the change.
Things have changed and people started loving it. Some of them cover injuries or surgery scars. Most of them come to do eyebrow tattoos. For women, the turnout is normal. Just like men, they do what they like. They do it for beauty, and some come to cover things in their bodies.
For some Iraqis, tattoos have a more practical purpose. When the country descended into sectarian chaos in 2003, many got their names inked on their arms in case they were killed in a terror attack. Now on to some business news. Dubai's Emaar Properties has signed an $11 billion contract with Beijing's Daxing International Airport. The multi-billion-dollar project includes residential and leisure facilities on 5 square kilometers of land at the airport. Officials say Emaar has opened an office in Beijing The agreement was signed on the sidelines of a state visit by Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Sheikh Hamad bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Earlier, the Crown Prince held a one-on-one meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Both signed deals in areas including oil, nuclear energy and national security. Asian stock markets have fallen over disappointment about the scale of expected U.S. interest rate cuts. Overall, mainland Chinese indices and Japan's Nikkei 225 declined. In Hong Kong, Hang Seng fell amid violent protests over an extradition bill. South Korea's Kospi and Australia's ASX 200 also traded lower. European stock markets are trading almost flat. This comes as the Nasdaq-style technology board marked its debut on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. The new Science and Innovation Board listed its first batch of 25 tech companies in a bid to stabilize volatile Chinese markets. Oil prices are higher in Asian trading amid tensions in Gulf and the shutdown of Libya's largest oil field. Now let's have a look at the weather update around the world. With the weather update, we come to the end of this bulletin. For more news and updates, you can keep watching Indus News.